Hello students, this is your faculty, Ms. Shipra Mishra, Assistant Professor, School of Management, BBD University. Today I am going to discuss with you the demand analysis for the paper Managerial Economics with the code NBBA 5302. Now we begin with the topic. So what is demand or how will you explain the demand? Okay, demand implies of three things. First, desire. Second, means to purchase. And last, on willingness to use these means for the purchase. So we can say that demand for a commodity refers to the desire to buy a commodity backed with sufficient purchasing power and willingness to spend. Okay, for example, suppose you want to buy a car but you do not have enough money to buy it, then the desire will remain just a wishful. It is not called as a demand. When we'll call as a demand when we desire to have a car, but it also have a money to purchase the car. On the contrary, if we want to buy a car and we also have money to purchase that car, but we are not willing to spend our money to purchase that car, then also it is not called as a demand. When we call the demand as a demand, when we want to or desire to buy that commodity and we have a money to buy the commodity and also we have willingness to spend our money to purchase that particular commodity. As we explained in the previous slide, that demand consists of the three things: desire, means to purchase, on willingness to use these means for that purchase. Now, the features of the demand. First, the desire and commodity. Demand is the amount of a commodity for which consumer has willingness and ability to buy. We called the demand for a commodity when the consumer has a willingness and ability to buy the product. Means he also have the willingness of a commodity, means he need that commodity and he also going to spend on particular that commodity. Second, demand and price. Demand is always at a price. Unless price is stated, the commodity has no meaning. Means, for example, you want to buy a toffee. How will you buy the toffee if you don't know about the price? Being a rational consumer, we always prefer buying a goods which has a stated price on it. We do not behave irrationally. Okay. The third point is point of time. The amount demanded must refers to some period of time. For example, 10 kg rice per week. The amount demanded and price must refers to the particular date. Fourth is utility. Demand depends upon the utility of a commodity. A consumer is rational and demands only those commodity which provides utility, means which provides satisfaction, highest satisfaction to the consumer. Moving forward, objective of demand analysis. What are the objectives of demand analysis? There are various objectives like demand forecasting, production planning, sales forecasting, control of business, inventory control, growth and long-term investment program, economic planning and policy. We are going to discuss it in detail. First one is demand forecasting. Forecasting means prediction. So, demand forecasting is the art of predicting the for product or services for some future date on the basis of present records and past behavior patterns for some related events. Why we do prediction? Why we forecast the demand? We forecast demand so that we can plan our future aspects, so that we can analyze what is the growth perspectives of our product, so that we need to increase or decrease the production. The second is the production planning. It is also related with the, it is somehow we can say it's not related, but we can say that it's an outcome of the forecasting. Production planning, how we do the planning. When we forecast the thing, then only we plan the things. Now, if we need to know how much the production, we need to do the production, how much we need to increase the production, or how much we need to decrease the production, we need to analyze the present or the past of our particular products data, so that we come to know that our demand for the product is going to upward or downward, so that we do not do the overproduction or underproduction, and we able to satisfy the demand of the targeted customer. Third one is sales forecasting. Sales forecasting is based on the demand analysis. And fourth is control of business. For controlling the business, it is essential to have a well conceived budgeting of cost and profit that is based on the estimation of annual demand and sales price. Next is inventory control. Inventory control is a satisfactory control of business. Inventory requires satisfactory estimates of the future requirements which can be traced through the demand analysis. Means we do not want to hoard the things in a go downs. It will be cause increases the cost of production. So we need to manage the inventory. Sixth is growth and long-term investment program. A demand analysis is necessary for determining the growth of a firm and long-term investment planning also. Seventh is economic planning and policy making. Demand analysis at the macro level for the nation as a whole is of the great help. The government can determine its import and export policy in the view of long-term demand forecasting and estimates for the various goods in the country also. Fine. This is that's all about the objective of the demand. Now there is demand and the quantity demand. The term demand refers to the various quantities of a commodity that a consumer is ready to buy at a different possible price of a commodity. The term quantity demanded refers to the specific quantity to be purchased against a specific price of a commodity. Means in demand, which refers to the all varieties of all quantity of a commodities that we are going to purchase at a different possible prices that are available in the market. And quantity demand refers to the specific quantity. Okay, that's number, only a specific number that are we are going to purchase against a specific price for commodity. Example is consumer demand is 2 ice cream. If the price per ice cream is 15 and 4 ice cream, if the price per ice cream is 10. Quantity demanded is 4 ice cream if the price to the rupees 10 per ice cream. What is demand schedule? Demand schedule is the that schedule which expresses the relation between the different quantities of a commodity demanded at the different price. And what is demand curve? It is simply a graphical representation of a demand schedule. And there is two definitions given by the authors, which you can see in the slide. Demand schedule and demand curve are of two types: individual demand schedule and individual demand curve, market demand schedule and market demand curve. First, we are going to discuss about the individual demand schedule and individual demand curve. As you can see in the slides, there is a graphical representation and tabular representation. The tabular one is the demand schedule and the graphical one is the demand curve. Individual demand curve and individual demand schedule. Okay, as you can see, the as long as the prices are increases, the demand goes on decreasing. That is why we have a downward sloping demand curve that shows the inverse relationship between quantity demanded or demand and price. The next slide, we have a explanation of that. It is seen that the price of a commodity increases and the quantity demand decreases, and when the price falls, quantity demanded increases. In the next slide, we have market demand schedule and market demand curve. In this, we can see that there are 1, 2, 3, and 4 individual demands, okay, which we combine. When we combine all the 4 individual demand, we get the market demand, or we can say that aggregate demand. Okay? In the left side, we have the graphical representation of the market demand. Moving further, there is an explanation of that. Demand function. Demand function is the functional relationship between the demand and the various other factors that influences the demand. We can, in this slide, you can see that demand function is also categorized into two parts: individual demand and market demand. In individual demand function shows how demand for a commodity by an individual consumer in the market is related by the various determinants. Various determinants in the individual demands like price of X commodity, price of related goods, income of a consumer, taste and preference, and consumer's expectation. expectation for future preference. The market demand we have, it is also a functional relation with the demand and other determinants. In extension of the price of X commodity, related goods, income, taste and preference, and future expectations, we also included the population size and distribution of income. We included population size and distribution of income because we are discussing about the market demand. We are taking all the individuals in this. That is why we are including the population size and distribution of income. Okay, so what is demand function? Demand function is the functional relationship between the demand and the various determinants that are affecting or influencing the demand of a commodity. Next are the determinants of the demand, or we can say the factors that are affecting demand. First is the price of a commodity. The price of a commodity, as we see the demand curve, there is a downward sloping demand curve we have. Okay, that shows there is an inverse relationship between the price and quantity demanded, which means when the price increases, the demand for a commodity goes on decreasing and vice versa. Next is the price of related good. Before discussing the price of related good, we need to know about the related goods. Related goods are of two types: substitute goods and complementary goods. So substitute goods are what are those goods which can be substituted in place of one to another. For example, tea and coffee, Coke and Pepsi, etc. So if the price of one commodity increases, the demand for the another commodities or what happens increases. What means price of a Coke increases leads to the demand for the Pepsi increases. So here we can see that there is a positive relationship between the good X and good Y. And the next is complementary goods. Complementary goods are those goods which complement to each other, which goes together, like pen and ink, car and petrol. If the price of car increases, the demand for the petrol decreases. So, we have the negative or inverse relationship between the price of X commodity and the demand for the Y commodity. Next is income of a consumer. So income, the ability to buy a commodity depends upon the income of a consumer. When the income of a consumer increases, then they buy more and vice versa. Next is expectations. If the consumer expects that the price in the future will rise, he will buy more quantity in the present at the existing price. Likewise, if he hopes that the price in the future will fall, he will buy less of the quantity in the present, or maybe even postpone his demand if it is not necessary. Next day, we moving forward. Taste and preferences. The taste and preferences includes the fashion, customs, etc. Taste and preference can influences by advertisement, change in fashion, climate, new inventions, etc. Other things being equal, demand for those goods increases for which the consumer develops taste. On the contrary, if a consumer has no taste and preference for a product, his demand will be decreases. For example, previously people are more tilted towards the skinny jeans. Now they find it outdated, so the demand for the skinny jeans are decreases. Or you can think of the various examples also. Next, we have a population size. If the population of particular area increases or in a particular country increases, then the demand also increases. And if the population decreases, the demand is also increases. For example, if the population of the female increases, the demand for the goods that are meant for the women will go up. Next, we have distribution of income. Unequal distribution leads to impact on the demand. If in case of unequal distribution, the most will have not enough money to buy the things. If income is equally distributed, then there will be more demand. If income is not equally distributed, then the demanded will be less. Moving further, we are going to discuss about the law of demand. The law of demand states the other thing being equal, the demand for a goods extends with the decrease in the price and the contrary with the increase in the price. Okay, in simple words, we can say that with the increase in the price, the demand will be decreases, and with the decrease in the price, the demand will be increases. And keeping the other factors like the taste and preferences, income of a consumer, price of related good, future expectation, all these things are constant. So we can say that there is an inverse relationship between the quantity demanded and the price. The assumptions of the law of demand are taste and preference of the consumer remains constant. There is no change in the income of a consumer. Price of related goods do not change. Consumer do not expect any change in the price of a commodity in the near future. You can see the explanation of the law of demand in this slide. On the right hand side of you, there is a graph and the tabular representations of the demand schedule and the demand graph. The table shows that when the price of say orange is rupees 5 per unit, 100 units are demanded. If the price falls to rupees 4, the demand increases to rupees 200. Similarly, when the price declines by rupee 1, the demand increases to rupees 600. On the contrary, the price increases from rupees 1, the demand continues to decline from 600. In the figure, point P of the demand curve is DD. Demand curve shows the demand for rupees 100 unit at rupees 5 as the price fall to rupees 4, rupees 3, rupees 2 and rupees 1. The demand rises to rupees 200, 300, 400 and 500, 600 units respectively. This is clear from point Q, R, S and T. Thus, the demand curve DD shows the increase in demand of orange when the price falls. This indicates the inverse relationship between the price and demand. Okay, thank you.